So today we're going to talk about some of the potential issues that could come up stacking gold. I have a new sovereign which we'll take a look at in a moment, and this little thing here. So whether you're in the UK or not, this video is going to be perhaps an interesting one. Some of the potential issues that could come up for stacking gold. Got a little piece of silver. It's not very often I buy silver these days, but this I thought was pretty cool, being sovereign Saurus and all. This came from Liquid Metals, and number 13. It's 1 ounce of silver. But anyway, here we're talking about some of the issues with gold. So at the moment, the gold sovereign in the UK is capital gains tax exempt because, a lot like the Tudor Beast Lion and other Britannias, things like that, it has a pound denomination. So it's not because it's a certain type of gold, it's because it is a certain type of coin. So the quarter ounce gold coin is fine gold, it's 4 nines fine. That is applicable for the Britannias, the modern years, also things like the Queen's Beast, the Tudor Beast, etc. The sovereigns are all 22 carat. So this one is, like I say, Young Victoria, just a best value one that I picked up, and it's a metal bin mint mark. Looks reasonable condition, nothing too special, nothing too terrible either. But one of the potential curveballs, what if the powers that be were to alter the status of something like the sovereigns? Maybe they would be demonetized, and then potentially they could be liable for capital gains tax in the future. So the rules at the moment, might not necessarily be the rules in the future. There are a lot of rules that have changed, things like corporation tax rates, they change. Things like, tax allowances, they change. Dividend allowances, they change. There's a lot of things that do change. Another thing that did change, so when we were part of the European Union, there was an ability to buy silver without the VAT through Europe, whereas once we transitioned out of Europe, then that was no longer the case. So we noticed the silver premiums jumped quite considerably there. Now, what if they were to bring VAT back onto gold? So they could perhaps put VAT on gold, or a bit like in Australia and I believe Canada. If you are buying non-pure, so if you're buying a 22 carat sovereign, for example, or an eagle, then you would be paying a GST, which is essentially VAT. It's like a sales tax. So when you purchase something, you're paying a little bit of tax on there as well. And so in the UK, if you're buying silver, you are basically paying a 20% tax straight away, and that's just going to the government on top of the premiums from the dealer. So it makes silver a little bit less attractive. But what if the same were to happen to gold? So if you already hold the gold, then your premium that you could achieve on the second-hand market might suddenly jump up. So that might be good if you were coming to sell, but if you are looking to accumulate still, then that might not be too good at all. You might end up with having to, basically pay a lot more for your gold, even though it's the same. Imagine the premiums on these went to sort of 30-40%, when we're used to like 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8%, at the moment. If they went up to sort of 30-40%, what's going to happen? If they didn't put the tax on the pure gold, then that would mean a rather large portion of people would probably switch to buying fine gold, and therefore that could push the premium of that up as well. So it's a potential curveball. I don't know if it will happen, but just something to think about. It's a bit of a consideration. If you are purely stacking sovereigns, then that could be an issue, that could come up in the future, and you might wish you maybe stack more sovereigns rather than just pure gold, or you might wish you had some pure gold as well. You just never know, really. So other considerations, we could have, like you have in the UK, gold bars. Those would be liable for capital gains tax. So we could have, all gold ending up being taxed, something like that. There could be a ruling brought in for that. There could be more stringent regulations. So, at the moment you might be able to go to certain coin dealers and, buy your metals. If, for example, there was something like, a digital currency, which was, by the government, then maybe there will be more stringent regulations, or maybe something like buying gold coins and gold bullion would be more heavily restricted. But perhaps if you're buying old jewellery, so basically buying like bracelets and earrings and things like that, maybe they wouldn't be, liable for the same restrictions. So that could be something to look at. Everything could have its own potential weaknesses and also risks, but also potential upsides. So for me personally, I do just buy gold sovereigns when I have the choice. I am picking up, good priced quarter ounce and 1 ounce gold coins as well, especially if they're Britannias or Queen's Beast, Tudor Beast, etc. But most of my recent purchases at least have been 22 carat, gold sovereigns. So that could be a potential problem in the future. You might think that you're going to liquidate in a different country. Maybe you're going to retire abroad. And in that case, it might be worth considering some of the tax rules in other countries and, considering your sort of exit strategy there. But yeah, we're not really talking too much about the whole exit strategies, just some of the potential issues. So can you think of any other issues that I might have missed? Are there any issues with certain coins where you live? So I know in Australia, for example, you'd have to pay GST on a sovereign. Anywhere else? Is there any other countries? And let me know what's the favourable coin and what's like an issue in your area. Love to chat in the comments. We'll talk soon.